Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon, FBA, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we bring you a very special guest. His name is Don Henig, and he's the co-founder of Accrueme, where they specialize on anything that has to do with financing around your Amazon business. Right? They are very good people when it comes to helping you scale your business. And I think it's a pleasure to have you here, Don. I know you have an amazing background when it comes to business and entrepreneurship specifically. So that's why I want to make this episode a little bit dynamic. I want to start a little bit, with tips around entrepreneurship, your journey, and for sure we can then highlight how Crewme basically can support a lot of Amazon sellers reach the next phase in their journey. So let me welcome you to
Sounds
the
great.
show, Don. It's a pleasure.
Thanks,
How you doing
Vincenzo.
today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I'm out just outside of New York. It's a cool morning, like 40, 45 degrees, but it's beautiful. Nice and
That's
sunny.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, here in London as well, it's becoming very cold. Summer is definitely over. So now all people is back in their houses. You see all the parks empty. Usually here in
Uh,
UK, when there is a little bit of sunshine, you see all the people in the parks getting crazy because here in
yep.
UK we don't get a lot of sunshine. But anyway, let's get started with a little bit about you. I mean, I know you have an amazing background when it comes to business, as I just say, and I would like to use a couple of minutes just to learn who is Don. I mean, how you got started into business, why you chose to actually do your own business, and go from there. Yeah.
That sounds great. It's interesting when I get asked questions like this, it makes me think. And it's really unusual, but I was interested in business and finance when I was a young child, like 10, 11 years old. I would ask my father to bring home the Wall Street Journal or the penny stock news, and I would
Okay.
chart stocks. Like I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew was I wanted to learn about this stuff. And, I got a job as a paper boy, believe it or not, at 11 years old, and I live on Long Island. There's like 6 million people on Long Island.
Yeah.
I ended up taking my paper out and going door to door and selling more papers. So I built it to the largest route on Long Island. I was ranked the number one salesperson for this newspaper on Long Island, which
Okay.
was at 11 years old. At
Yeah.
12 years old, I asked my dad to take me to the bank because I wanted to take out a loan. And he said to me,
Wow.
"Why would you
You're
want a
great.
loan?" Yeah, my parents understand. My father was, working in the government. My mother was taking care of me and my sisters. They didn't believe in. They didn't
I see.
have a credit card. They
So so basically, you come from a background that wasn't a business related at all. Basically,
not
you
at
were the
all.
first entrepreneur basically in the family, right?
Yep, exactly. I was brought up with sayings like, save your pennies for a rainy day. And I would
I
say to
see.
my father, "No, I'm going to spend my money to grow." And he looked
Yeah.
at me like I was crazy, like, how do you do these things? But I always did it. I started an ice cream truck when I was 18 and made more money than ever. But my parents sat me down and yelled at me, all the risks I was taking. And I made a lot
Yeah.
of money. I worked harder than anybody. I started
That's
a
awesome.
financial planning company while I was still in college. Like, who's going to go to a young kid,
Wow.
19, 20 years old for financial advice?
Yeah.
I studied it all on my own and I did it on my own.
Wow.
Go and work for
I'm
somebody. I did it on my
And
own.
what do you think that started that interest from your side, like that spark? Because usually entrepreneurship, I feel that's something. I have the belief that something you are born with. I feel it's entrepreneurship.
Yes.
You can't really teach it. It's just you are born with that. You feel the need to do your own thing and pursue your own journey. So is that something you saw in your childhood that allow you to pursue that as in terms of doing your own things, or is just something that came natural to you and how you went from there? Yeah.
It just came natural to me. My family was not in favor of entrepreneurship or starting
Yeah.
your own business. It's very, very risky. They believed in getting a job where you're going to have a
Yeah.
pension, like work for the government or the
Hmm.
state or something like that. And you're going to have a pension and you're set for life. Nobody has to
Yeah.
worry about you.
Yeah.
With me, I went a completely different way. And I
All
had
in.
yeah, I went
Yeah.
all in. I bought my first house when I was in college, my second house
Wow.
while I was in college, bought brand new cars and, things like that. They're not the smartest investments. They're not investments, but, It was just what I was able to do because I had money at a young age. But also when you have money, you're able to go out and help others as well. Not only are you, hiring people and training them and building their lives up and their families up, but you're also able to give money as well. So I'll never forget the first time, I always gave, but the first time it was around Christmas, it was snowing. I'll never forget the day. I was at work. And so we had a Jeep was one of the cars. So I took the Jeep, which my wife normally drove. We have 2 kids. And I go to work and it's snowing heavily. We have like a foot of snow. And I had done some reaching out over the previous days to our local church to ask them about people in need. And they said, yeah. And I said, all right, so give me who you have. And they gave me like 3 or 4 names. And, what I did was I went out and I did a complete food shop for these families. And then I figured out how many people were in the families. And I would do $50 per person. So, if they had, 4 people, it would be a couple $100. Maybe I'd do $250 or $300, something along those lines. Plus, another $150 in food. There's no way they could afford this. And then I would just knock on their door and say that, I'm calling from St. Patrick's to drop a couple things off. And then I'd come in with all these bags of stuff. And, they would be blown away and I would just leave. And that was it. They never know who I was. And so I got home that day and my wife and the kids were in the kitchen. They were making a gingerbread house, like a little, they're home from school in the snow. And, I told my wife what I had just done. And she broke down crying, and it was a family moment. And we've never done less than that. And we always do tons more ever since. And it's been a real family event. And the kids get involved in it. And, we just go and do these things.
I love that. Yeah. I think that's one of the beauties of entrepreneurship. I think the fact that once you succeed as an entrepreneur and you definitely have more access to the right connections and capital, the best thing you can do is definitely support others that are in need. I have done that sometimes as well, and definitely the feeling of seeing how your work then allow you to support people in need is definitely something that is the best feeling, 100%.
It's the best feeling. Like, if you write a check to a charity, that's all well and good. But when you're actually going to somebody who's in need,
and you see it,
it's completely different. Going to somebody's house and putting up a Christmas tree that they can't afford. I just did that again last year at somebody's house. Again, I don't want them to know who I am. I don't want any thanks or anything like that. It's all from the church. They don't know any different. But and then we got it to the point that it was so big, it was uncontrollable. But it was tremendous. But those are the things that entrepreneurs can do and should do and almost all do, which is fantastic. But to go back to the story, so I built a financial planning company. I learned a little bit about mortgages, and people wanted mortgages at that point. So I started a mortgage company, and I built it to a very large size in New York State. We were like one of the 2 or 3 largest in New York, and I sold it 10 years later. And then I started a mortgage broker franchise. It's an industry that was never done before. So I tied the industry together. I sold it to, we signed up 760 companies nationwide in 18 months. Yeah. And I sold it in 18 months. I think that was fun. But then I took time off and I jumped to another industry. I looked like, what do I want to do? I love being on the fields with the kids, playing soccer or football, So I started a soccer newspaper. There were no digital at the time. So I didn't know anything about it. I just saw a need, and I had zero knowledge, and I just dove in, just like I had almost zero knowledge.
The entrepreneurship spirit made you, I need to go for it. I need to solve this issue and go for it.
Just go do it. Yeah, just go do it. Why go, just go do it. I have a saying that is, I think everybody would appreciate, and it's what I think about when I'm starting a business. And it's very simple. Start stupid. You will never know enough. You will never know everything.
You need to make mistakes. Yeah.
You got to just go. So if you knew everything that you know now, and when you started, 6 years, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and if you looked down the road and saw everything that you know now, you would say, wow, that is a mountain to climb. It's too much. It's too much. But you took the first step, and then you took the second step, and then the next step, and you stumble a few times, but you keep learning. And now you have an agency that other sellers come to say, hey, Vincenzo, can you help me? Can you do this for me? And you can, because you're an expert. So, you know, but you never could be an expert out of the box. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we call that paralysis analysis, and we see that a lot in the e-commerce space. People think that they need to have all the steps from A to Z up to the moment they exit the business perfect, understand every single step along the way. And that's not usually how it works. I mean, you just need to dive in and figure it out along the way. And that's actually one of the main questions I had for you, because I know you as an entrepreneur, for sure, it's not all rainbows and colors. I mean, there's definitely some difficulties around the way. And I would like to touch on some of them around what is usually what were the most difficult like moments around your journey that you found you wanted to give up, and how you overcome. Maybe you can share them. Yeah,
sure. I'll give you a couple of thoughts. One was going back to that first mortgage company. I came home one day. I took one day off. I had gone out. Take a step back. I had gone out to my partners. I had two partners who did nothing, who were not involved at all. And after running the business and building the business, after 6 months, I took no money, and I went to them and I said, "Look, this is not working as a partnership. You guys are not doing anything. You haven't brought in business. You haven't done anything. I've done everything. So let's break this up, in an amicable way." And so I said, "Think about it for 2 weeks, and then I'll come back and we'll sit down and we'll figure out how to split it up, fairly."
Yeah.
Well, a few days later, I had gone out with my brother-in-law one afternoon. Well, these guys, there were three of them actually. They came into my office and stole everything, fit in a corner. I mean, physically. Yeah, it was really bad. And back then, this is before the internet. So
so you couldn't record anything.
You couldn't get anything. It's not like I have a backup computer. No, they took the checkbook. The checkbook was everything. They took our phone system. They took everything, all of our files. There was no digital. Yeah, so we're done. Well, anyway, long story short, I end up negotiating just for a little bit because I knew the files that were going to close fast, and that would give me cash flow. But that night, I came home, when I learned that they had come in and stolen everything. My assistant was over my house with my wife. They were both crying, and we're out of business. We're done. My wife is 6 months pregnant. I have $1,300 in the bank. That's it. That's all I had to my name. We owned our house, but we didn't have any money. So what do? I told my assistant, go out and find the smallest office you can find, the cheapest office you can. And she did. So the next day I signed a lease for a new office. There were gaps under the door so that in the wintertime, snow would come into the office. It was like, I went out, I bought a phone system. I went out and I found desks for free and, built an office. A year, maybe 2 years later, I was one of the largest in New York State. And the other company that, they kept the company, the Attorney General of New York State put them out of business and almost put them in jail. And I did nothing to do that. I didn't participate. I didn't go after them. I didn't spend 1 minute in negativity thinking about them. All I thought about was positive. Let's grow this thing. Very, very focused. And I went after it hard. And I became a leader in the entire industry. And the president of the National Association. And,
wow. Congrats on that. I think one thing that I love about this story is how, first of all, you kept your positivity, and second of all, you didn't look at your past and go stuck in the past, because a lot of people, when this happened to them, they just say, "Oh, now I'm a failure because this happened, or these people did this to me, or I'm blah blah blah," all the excuses.
Yeah.
But you pivoted and you basically use that, actually, I'm pretty sure, as a strength and a motivation. And I'm pretty sure that helped you go through those dark nights when you were struggling during those beginnings, right? Which is very amazing to hear.
It's very scary time, especially when your wife is 6 months pregnant, and and your father-in-law is looking at you like, "Well, you
should have done a job, like traditional way."
And my father's telling me, "Go, get a government job." No, I'm not doing that. Nothing against that. It's just not what I wanted to do. But that was one challenge. I'll give you another one that's pretty crazy. I was running a company. I didn't own the company because it was a publicly held company,
Okay.
and it was a mortgage company, and I had built it. So I had, I was the highest paid person in the entire company by far, but I wasn't the owner of it. I was just like really in charge of sales.
Like a CEO kind of.
No, I wasn't the CEO. The CEO was, I reported into the CEO.
Okay.
So anyway, this is during the financial meltdown. And, mortgage companies, as everybody knows, went out of business. Well, this company, we had 7,000 employees.
Wow.
And all of a sudden we had plenty of money, and then something happened in the markets where the money was taken out of our accounts by the banks, without getting into all the details. It's a pretty interesting story, but it's a lot longer than we're going to have today.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So what do you do when I got fired? So did everybody else on that Friday. And people are leaving the building in tears, and, it was a heartbreaking, brutal week, to say the least. Well, what do you do? Well, what I did was I went to the bankruptcy attorneys and I said, I need my computer. I need access to the building. I need my computer on. And I have 7 people that I want to work with me for 1 week. And they said, no, it's against all the security rules. We can't do it. Not happening. Yeah. Well, I told them, look, what I'm going to be doing here is helping people get jobs. So, you got to do it. Anyway, I shamed them into it. They turned on the 7 computers, gave us access to these offices around the country. And over the next week, we put over 1,500 people into jobs all over the country. Yeah, it was never worked harder in my life. Also, so that's one thing. The second part of that story, because imagine, this is a heartbreaking thing. Especially, also you go from earning a lot of money to no money
to zero one day, and you have a lifestyle, you have expenses that you and all happens overnight.
But you see, you brought up that's exactly the point. So what did I do? This is a Friday. The next day, on that Saturday, I went to a what they call a hospitality center. So like a soup kitchen, where they feed hundreds of people every single day, multiple meals. They clothe people. They do everything that they have to do. And the next morning, the first thing I did was go out to the bank, and I got $5,000 in cash. And I went over to the hospitality center, and I gave them the $5,000 to help them with what's going on. And the way, and then the next week I put in roughly 1,500 people in jobs. So the point is, when bad things happen to you, how do you look at that? What you need to do is not look at yourself, but go take care of somebody else. Bad stuff happens to you, do something good for somebody else.
Eventually it's going to come back to you. Eventually it's going to come back.
It will, but you don't do it for that reason. But I will tell you, I never, it was a crushing time that personally I never felt it, because I was focused on helping other people.
That's interesting. You basically kept your mind busy, and that actually made me now jump to other of the topics which I wanted to touch, which is mindset. I mean, entrepreneurship, I feel, is all around mindset. If you have a weak mindset, I mean, these things can destroy you, and sometimes people don't come back from this. So I wanted to ask you, what were you doing to keep motivated, stay on your toes, do the things right? Because when this happened to a lot of people, I mean, people just lose it, right? So you had some habits, you are doing a specific routine. So what kept you on track during those difficult times in terms of mindset?
Well, there's a few things, and there were many months after that every day I was just helping people. Because people went through some bad times, and they looked at me as a leader. So I made sure I got an email, I would pick up the phone and call people and help them through it as best I could. Any which way I could do it, whether it be writing letters of, recommendation for them, all different things. But mindset is critical. And for me, I think you have to do a couple of things. You have to stay in shape. You have to exercise. You have to move your body. And you have to read positive things. So if you're reading the news all day, you're not helping yourself. But if you're
No.
reading positive books and positive publications,
Yeah.
that's going to get you up there. And the third thing I would say, eating healthy, so constantly eating healthy, exercise, doing good things for your mind. But the final thing for me is a morning routine. So what I like to do, and I do it to this day, and I've been doing this for probably 15 years. So every morning, just interesting, I have this 5-minute journal, and it's really simple, but it's what's interesting about it. So I fill it out every day, just very simple. 3 things that you're grateful for. So you're starting your day every day. I start with a cup of coffee and writing down 3 things I'm grateful for. Then 3 things that will make today great. And then just a statement, I am. And it could be, what did I say today? I am ready for success and fun, was what today I wrote,
That's very
just
nice.
like things like that. But also what I do is while I'm doing that, I have pictures of my parents, my kids and us, in Germany, my sisters, my grandparents, aunts and uncles. And then behind all of that is a picture of me, and it's standing up at Eagle's Nest in Austria or Germany, right on the border. And what I do is I look at everybody and I say thank you for making me a king of the mountain, putting me on top of the mountain, and always supporting me and believing in me. And
that's so powerful.
It's
Super
very
powerful.
powerful.
Because it's all about visualization. I mean, you visualize all that every single morning, and that keep you always targeting towards your goals, because if you just say it and you don't track your progress, it's like it just words that then stay in the air, so super powerful.
And so I do that, and then I go off to the gym, or I go into the sauna. I have a sauna in my house, so I'll either do the gym or the sauna. I do the gym 4 days, I do the sauna 3 days. And then I come back. I've already done positive stuff, positive mindset, healthy stuff. I have my own eating way of doing that's all healthy and good. And now I'm ready to take on the world. I'm ready to look at email and news and whatever, and my things to do list. And the other key thing that I think people would what I try to do is write down the night before 3 things that I want to do tomorrow.
Okay.
And so if I write down, like everybody's got a things to do list. Our list is, this long, so long. And we keep adding things to it all day long, every day. Well, you're not going to, then you have to waste time to go through this long list. What do I want to do next? Do I want to do this? Oh, it's going to take too much time. Do I want to do that? I don't know. Maybe I feel like doing this. And then the phone rings. Oh, maybe I'll take that call. And you got nothing done. So what I look to tomorrow, what are the 3 things I can do to be successful, to consider it a success? I look at my things to do list, and I take out 3 key things that are important for me to get done. And normally, at least one of them is one of those things that you just don't want.
Yeah, you keep moving, you keep moving, you keep moving. Yeah,
it just gets. I should have done it a week ago, and then I should have done it, the next day, and then the next day, and so then I put it on the list. I'm doing this tomorrow. I'm doing it first. And now, next thing you know, it might be 4:00 in the afternoon, and I've got none of it done. But then I get the rest of it done like this, or on really good days when I'm on, I get them all done by noon. And now I look at the whole day.
You feel like a superhero. Yeah.
I am, exactly. And now I look at my big list and I pick another one to do, and I feel good, and I can bang that one out, and I can bang the next one out. And it's like, man, this is great. So the key is to limit it to 3 things. So,
good. Very
so
nice.
I'm going to do one last thing. One last thing, then I'll shut up. Speaking of 3 things, if you keep your goals short or small, you will always achieve them. So you'll never be able to say, no, I can't do that. So I'm going to give you an example. You want to go work out. And I did this many years ago when I had stopped working out for a period of time. I was playing racquetball, but I wasn't doing any push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups. So I said, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to start working out. I'm going to get up. First thing I'm going to do is go on the floor and do 40 push-ups and 40 sit-ups and 20 pull-ups. I get up, and what do? You do what you've been doing for the last years. Go straight
Yeah.
into the shower. Brush my teeth, go into the shower. Wait a minute, now I'm in the shower. I can't do it now because I'll be sweaty.
Yeah, it's an
The,
excuse. Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
day, I say the same thing. What do I get up? I'm not thinking, straight into the shower. I can't do
Yeah.
it now. So then
Yeah.
I changed my goals. I said 5 push-ups and 5 sit-ups. Even if I'm in the shower, I could come out and
Yeah.
still do 5 push-ups and 5 sit-ups. I mean,
Yeah.
so I came out and I did it. The next day, same thing. I came out and I didn't just do 5. I did 20 and 20. I'm like, okay, I don't want to get
Yeah.
sweaty. The next day, I did same thing. I did 20 and 20. Now I'm in a bit of a habit, and I got up the next morning
Mm,
and I remembered I can work out. I can do 5.
yes.
No, now I'm doing 40 and 40. And now you start building from there. But if you keep
Yeah.
the goal so small that you can't
Mm,
not do it, you can't help but
yeah.
win.
Yeah, it's all about keep showing up and you keep building the habit until a moment that it's like automatic, like you brushing your teeth, as you said.
That's right.
You just you can't live without that. So yeah, it's
But then
amazing tip.
keep your big goals really big.
Yeah,
Don't ever think small. Think big,
awesome.
big, big. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So now I would like to also jump in terms of basically the information we feed to our mind, right? Because we as entrepreneurs, the reality is we need to keep learning on a daily basis.
Yep.
The world is so dynamic that on a week time, so many things change economically, in business, everything. And I would like to ask you how you as a businessman right now decide which information you feed to your mind in terms of articles, books, podcasts, etc. How you prioritize the content to make sure that you don't put like the wrong content in your mind and that you're actually using your time efficiently in terms of learning. If you have some tips around that, yeah.
It's interesting because most of the industry is younger than me. I'm 63 right now, and
You look super young, by the way.
thanks.
Yeah.
But I've done all of this multiple times, and I've built many different businesses in various industries, from entertainment, publishing, mortgage,
Mm,
real estate, all over. And I read all the books on mindset and
yeah.
positivity, but I believe in positivity. I
Mm,
grew up that way. I believed that there's nothing I can't do. So
that's
it's
awesome.
just something that's built into me. So I find that people today, your age and other people that are leaders in the industry, are reading all of these books, and they're like, "Oh, did you read this? Did you read that?" And I'm
Yeah,
thinking to myself, "Yeah, I read the original version of that."
yeah. Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but it's all positive. So I read certain uh, uh, what do you call it, newsletters and things like
Hmm.
that. I definitely read books. I'm always reading something. And right now, what I've been trying to do is read some fiction books, some
Okay.
just novels, just to get my head out of just reading about business and just
I
reading
know.
about personal
I
development.
know. I
When you
know.
get into a good book that's fiction, but really, really, really well written, it's like, man, I'm in another world. I can't wait to get back to the book.
I know.
So it's different. So I
Yeah.
do a
Yeah.
lot of that.
That's great.
And
Yeah. The reason why I wanted to ask you is because me personally, I have that thing that every single book that gets out, oh, I need to read it because that's gonna allow me to grow more and do more business. Or if I don't read a book, it's because I'm behind, and then you start going that vicious cycle. And I
yep,
just wanted to hear from you as well. What were your habits around reading and all of that? Because I feel sometimes if you just everything that you do is just learning, sometimes that also bad for you because you just paralysis analysis as we're speaking. So that's why I wanted to
I
talk to you
agree.
that.
And you have to let your mind be free and just be creative. Just enjoy some dead time, if you will. If you're reading a fiction book, all right, you may not be
Mm,
learning something per se, but you are learning, and your mind is calming down and going into other parts
mm.
of your brain are working and churning, and it helps you in innumerable ways.
Yeah, 100%. Great. So now, I mean, all these tips are amazing. I love your journey and everything you shared so far. So thank you very much for
Thank you.
that. And now I
Thank
would
you.
like to jump into Accrueme. I would
Sure.
like to touch a little bit about this new business journey you have. I mean, the amount of support you are giving to Amazon sellers and the feedback I hear from the community is amazing. And later, you also been supporting a lot the Spanish community,
Yes.
which I also thank you for that, because I feel in that language we don't have a lot of events, webinars, and all of that. And seeing
It's
that
true.
you are investing to that is nice to see, because definitely there is potential there.
We
Now,
love it. We love doing that.
yeah, it's
We
amazing.
do.
So let's talk about Accrueme. So tell us a little bit how Accrueme came into creation. I mean, how you went from doing mortgages and all these different backgrounds to actually jump into e-commerce and specifically supporting Amazon sellers. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, but what I ended up doing was after I got out of my last business, I sold it and I retired. I didn't necessarily call it retirement. I was just going to take a break, as I've
Okay.
done 2 other times in my career, and I figured maybe I'd take 6 months or a year or whatever, and just do nothing. Try to just clean the
Okay.
closets and get out in the yard and do basic stuff. Well, that lasted 5 years. And I kept learning and I kept researching things and just enjoying life all the time, traveling everywhere, my wife and I, boating all the time.
Okay.
Life was great. And then a friend of mine from 20 years earlier told me about Amazon and Amazon
Yeah.
sellers. I didn't know anything. I had no idea. I never heard of FBA and FBM. I thought Jeff Bezos delivered everything.
Yeah.
I had no idea. So, I love helping people grow businesses and I love mentoring younger people. So those are two
Awesome.
things that the 5 years that I was out, those are the two things that I did all the time. I was
Mm.
constantly on, scheduled calls with people, basically being their consultant and their
Mm.
mentor and helping them do things that, in business and in life. And it was great. So
Yeah.
when I heard about all these Amazon sellers and I pictured them all as being younger and trying to grow businesses and not necessarily knowing how to grow businesses and could use some help, I went to bed that night and I had a dream, and it's a dream unlike any dream I've had in many years, where I used to dream about building these big businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went to bed that night and I pictured myself on a stage with thousands of these Amazon sellers out there. And I was on stage. I don't know what I was saying, but I was
Yeah.
saying something to help them grow their business. So it got inside me very quickly. So
Wow.
we did a lot of research on the lending opportunities, and I didn't like anything that was being done in the industry.
Mm.
Personally, it just
Yeah.
was not positive in my mind, and I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
be a part of it. And that's what I said to my partner. I said, I don't want to be a part of this. And
Mm.
he said to me, well, why don't we do something different? I said, like what? He said, I don't know, let's brainstorm it. So we came up with a model for financing Amazon sellers that should have been the model when financing was created 2,000 years ago. This is the way it should have been done.
Mm.
Instead, it was done not to help you as a seller to grow. It was done to protect the lender.
Greedy
So, well,
mindset, basically. Yeah. The ones that
yeah,
create it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
reverse it. And how about I take the risk instead of you taking the risk?
Mm.
That's crazy. And that's probably our biggest problem, is because people don't, they're like, wow, this sounds
Mm.
too good to be true. But here's what we do. We don't charge any interest. We don't charge any fees. Right there, people are like, come on.
Wow.
No, we
There's
don't.
something there. Yeah.
Yeah, come on. It can't be. But no, we don't charge any interest. We don't charge any fees. Uh, we don't have a term. So use the money for as long as you want or as short as you want. If you take the money from us and you pay it back next month, that's it. You owe us nothing else. That's the
Mm-hmm.
end of it. If you take it for 2 years or 3 years, you don't have to tell us. You just take it for as long as you want. You pay it back as is right for you, and you take out more when you want more. But it's like having your
That's
own personal bank,
that's
and we
great.
don't require monthly payments, which
Wow.
sounds crazy. Yeah, but think
Yeah.
about it. Monthly payments make no sense.
Yeah.
If you
It
just
kills your
think
cash
about it,
flow, basically. It kills the
it
cash
kills
flow.
your
Yeah.
cash flow.
Yeah.
It kills
Yeah.
your cash flow. So right now, you're trying to grow your business. You have all these opportunities, but you have to take money out of your business and send it to a
Yeah.
lender. Whose favor is that in? It's not in your
Yeah.
favor. It's not good for
Yeah.
your business.
No.
So here's something to think about. And I'm going to come back to this, to how we make money in a second. But there is actually a cost to monthly payments. There's a calculation. And that's the crazy thing. So it's the simplest calculation. Let's just say your ROI is 10%, okay,
Mm-hmm.
per month. All right. Just use that as an example. And now let's say your monthly payment on your loan is $12,000. All
Yeah.
right. You borrowed 100,000, you're going to pay back 12,000 a month. Well, $12,000, if you didn't have to pay that back and it was being used in your business, you would make 10% on that, $1,200.
Yeah.
So by taking $12,000 out of your business, it's not just hurting your business that way, but you're also losing the profit on that $1,200, not just this month, but every month going forward.
Yeah.
And now next month you make another $12,000 payment. Now you're losing $2,400 a month in profit. It is
Crazy.
killing your business and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
So how do we make money? What we do is we get a percentage of profits for as long as you use our money. That's it. And the way that we did the percentage is we set it up so that the seller can't lose. So at a high level, this is not the details, but at a high level, the seller earns 100% of the profit on their money. Plus they get half the profit on our money. They can't lose. They can't lose.
Yeah,
What
as long
happens
as you are doing the right things, it's a win-win for both sides. Yeah.
Exactly. But sellers ask me, well, what happens if I lose money? We don't get anything. You don't owe us anything. We didn't earn anything. What if I don't make any money for 5 months? What do I owe you? The same amount that you took from us. No, not another penny. What if I get suspended? Well, if you get suspended, you're not going to earn any money. We're not going to earn any money.
Yeah.
Well, you say no payments. How long, can I do that for? A few months? No, you can do it as long as you want. So we have sellers that are with us right now that haven't paid in over 2 years.
Wow.
But you can imagine how they're growing. So all the money stays in the business. We're not taking any money out. They typically don't take any money out or very little. And the business is growing by leaps and bounds. And when they exit, all we get is our investment plus our accrued profits. They keep 100% of the upside. We don't own any of the business.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's an amazing system. I love it. And that's why it's having so much success in the Amazon community. I feel everybody's talking about Accrueme and everything I hear is positive around the company. Is definitely amazing what you guys are doing. So congrats on that.
Thank you. We just did a quick survey of all of our clients, even past clients. And I think it was something like 99 point something came back as, would you refer us to a friend? Came back as a 10. Yes, they would.
Yeah.
And the comments they made, so heartwarming and really beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about it very quickly so we can start concluding. Is there any specific requirement, like anybody can apply? Do I need to be a huge seller, a medium seller, or anybody can, start the application as soon as they want? Yeah.
Sure. You have to be in business 6 months profitably. Because if you're not profitable, we don't make anything. So we care about that. We don't look at your credit report. We don't look at your financial statements or any of that stuff. We just look at your inventory and see that it's turning over and that's making money. And we go down as low as $10,000. So what we do is we match whatever you have in the business. So think about whatever your inventory at cost is. So if your inventory at cost was, you look at it, it's $18,000. And your receivable from Amazon is $2,000, then we would say you have $20,000 of capital in the business. All right. That's what we would call capital. And we would match that. We would give you, we don't want to have more money in the business than you, but whatever amount you have, we'll match. And as your business grows, we'll grow with you. You could keep taking more. If you pay us down, there's more available. If if you're flush with cash in March because you got slow, that's when you should make payments because that's smart. And that reduces our profit.
It's a no-brainer. I mean, it's definitely a no-brainer. You made it perfect, basically.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's really exciting.
Awesome. So, I mean, thank you, Don. I mean, to be honest, everything we discussed today around entrepreneurship, business, your journey, and now Accrueme is fantastic. It's definitely a pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure, really.
Yeah. So it's definitely great. And now I would like to also give you the last minute or so you can share also how people can get in contact with you if they want to ask you some questions and how they can also get started with Accrueme, the link and all of that. Yeah.
Sure. The best way to reach me really is through LinkedIn. I love connecting with people. I got frustrated when I got into this industry and I would try to connect with people and they would see I didn't have an e-commerce background and they
Mm,
wouldn't even connect with me. I was like,
I know.
what's
I
going on
know.
here? Here, if they looked at my background and saw all the things that I've done, they would want to talk to me. But
Yeah. You were
I don't,
missing the e-commerce guru on your title. That's why.
exactly. Talks about e-commerce.
Yeah.
But so I'm not that person. If you reach out to me on LinkedIn, I will connect with you. If you send me any questions or whatever, we're going to connect. If you want to have a conversation, we're going to talk. I can't tell you how many sellers have reached out to me who haven't even started yet, but they're trying to start and they're looking for some guidance. They're looking for maybe somebody to pick them up and help them
Mm,
along. I talk to every single one of them. And people
awesome.
are blown away by that because there's only so many hours in a day, but that's what I do. That's
That's
important to
great.
me. So if I can
Awesome.
help you, I'm going to help you. And if
Yeah.
you're interested in capital to grow your business, there's nothing better than what we have. And you just go to accrueme.com. Very simple, accrueme.com, and click
Awesome.
on get a funding offer. And it
Awesome.
takes about 2 to 3 minutes to fill out the application. We're going to ask you for access to your store, the Seller Central. And then we're going to come back and ask for your cost per unit. And that's it. And then we'll give you a complete proposal. We'll outline the entire program in plain English. So you don't have to worry about, legal documents and all that
The
stuff.
little
It's going to be,
print. Yeah.
yeah, no, there'll be no little print. And not only that, but we get on the phone and go through it with you line by
Awesome.
line to make sure you know everything. You will not work with Accrueme and a month later say, "Oh, I didn't know that." Not going to
Yeah.
happen. You're going to
Wow.
know everything. Yeah.
Awesome.
And by
Awesome.
the way,
Very nice.
we are the number one rated capital provider on Seller Central. Number
Yeah, I was
one.
going to say that. You guys are killing it. So yeah,
How cool is
amazing.
that? And as you said, in English and in Spanish.
Wow.
We love
Yeah.
helping the Spanish
So looking
Spanish people.
forward
Love it.
to see you in other languages as well very soon. I'm sure you're planning for that as well.
We are absolutely.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Don. It's been a pleasure. I'm looking forward to have you on the next one. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Vincenzo. I really appreciate it.